What's up, YouTube? What up, friends and fam? What's going on? Back at it with another video. I think y'all were saying your prayers for me, man, because it worked. Because today I was at the gym. I'm like, man, that's a good fucking topic. I got a great workout in. I was listening to some Young Jeezy, and just came up with the subject at hand here. And what it is this. What I learned about tasting poverty in Waycross, Georgia, back when I was, how old was that, 19? I think I was 19 years old, out of high school. 19, yeah, I was 19. So, back when I was 19, long story short, you know, got out of high school, went to college for a little bit, dropped out, wound up in Waycross, Georgia, living with my cousin. My cousin had kicked me out, so I got my own place in the hood of Waycross, Georgia, like the hood, like not exaggerating when I say that. It was the hood. It was, you know, a down south town, the hood in the Waycross, Georgia. You can look up Waycross, Georgia. It's a very unsafe town. But what I've learned from that experience, and I was there for what, 3 or 4 months in that same house? I think 3 or 4 months. So what I learned about tasting poverty like that, Waycross, Georgia is one of the poorest towns in fucking America. Like, I know people who I work with who didn't even have running water. They just couldn't afford it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm sure drugs had to do a little bit with it, but people don't get paid like they do up here. You know what I mean? They weren't spending a bunch of fucking money on drugs because they didn't even have money to spend on drugs. They couldn't, you know, they couldn't even keep their light bill on or their water bill on because that's how fucking poor they are down there. The shit that you'll learn from working an 80-hour fucking week and not even making $500 will blow your mind. You know what I mean? Because I literally would put in 80-hour work weeks working at the meat factory, and I think my biggest check was almost $500. That might even be generous. I can't even remember exactly what it was. But what I learned from that was crazy, man. Like, I learned that there was times where I had to wait to fucking go grocery shopping because I didn't have enough fucking money to get food. Like, there was one day in particular I remember, you know, like the back of my hand, like I can go there right now, you know what I mean? And that's where the power comes into this, because the power of being broke is that you can, like, I remember these memories like better than fucking anything. I remember these memories better than going, like, my first time going to Disney or my first time going to Florida, you know what I mean? And anyways, I remember there was like a 3-day stretch. I had already spent a little money on food, then I was like all out of food, and then I wasn't getting paid for like 2 days. And I remember just sitting on my fucking front porch. I'm like, man, like, you have to wait till tomorrow morning to even ask somebody at work for food. I was like, this fucking sucks. And then my neighbor Jerry came over. You know, he had to have told, you know what I mean, that he seen that I was struggling. And then he's like, hey, Ken, you want some pecans? And like, then I found out there was a fucking pecan tree in my backyard, and he gave me like a tub full of fucking pecans and a nutcracker, and then he's like showing me how to crack the pecan nuts. And man, that moment I had with Jerry, sorry, I just started crying, man, because like the amount of thankfulness I have for that, man, it's fucking crazy. But that moment I had with Jerry, just like, I'll never be able to thank that guy enough. You know what I mean? Like, I've been meaning to look up his address and send him something, or try to get his phone number. Hope the guy's still alive, because, you know, when I was living with him, he did have like some emphysema going on, or early stages of it. But anyways, it's just these moments that we have when we're broke. You can never teach that. Like, you can't get that from fucking going to college, or you can't get that from living with mommy and fucking daddy. Like, you can't. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but if you haven't never struggled in your life, you gotta go struggle, man. Like, you gotta go struggle. And this happened because, you know, like I said, I went to college. When I was in college, I was reading the Steve Jobs book, and the Steve Jobs book really motivated me to drop out of college. If you read his book, you'll know what I'm talking about. Fucking awesome. And then in his book, he also said he cut off his parents. So I did the same fucking thing. I'm like, if I want to be anywhere successful as Steve Jobs, I saw my parents were enabling me to a certain standpoint where I was fucking stuck. You know what I mean? They weren't giving me fucking cars or giving me a black card or whatever, but they give me like $20 here, pay rent here, whatever. It like wasn't enough to sustain. I still needed to work. I still needed to go to college or do this or do that for them to keep them happy. But I became their fucking slave, you know what I mean? They wanted me to stay sober. They didn't want me to smoke pot. They didn't want me to do this, didn't want me to do that. If I didn't contend to those, they wouldn't give me no fucking change, you know what I mean? So I was like, fuck that. I gotta cut them off. It's gonna be very hard, but I'm gonna cut them off and do it my own way. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I was on in South Georgia. And that's exactly why I have this story that brings me to fucking tears of gratitude about my neighbor Jerry. You know what I mean? Like, the power of being broke, you can't teach that, man. Like, you cannot fucking teach that. Like, that's the same fucking reason why people from the projects, people like Jay-Z, people like 50 Cent, they all fucking make it. You know what I mean? Because they stay sober, they stay fucking disciplined, and they know the power of being broke. They know how to fucking trust people. They know how to see into somebody's eyes and tell if you're fucking lying or not. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that I feel like I know from these experiences that the common person around where I grew up in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, they don't fucking know. Like, I can see it from a mile away because I've been that broke. Like, it just is what it is. Like, I have a, like, when you're that broke, you can really see people's intentions and who has your back and who doesn't, man. You know what I mean? Because it just is what it is. I don't think I'll ever be able to trust or love somebody as much as those people back in the day. You know what I mean? Back in fucking Georgia or back in Florida when I was dead broke and they still fucked with me, still wanted to, you know, hear my vision and hear, you know, that means so much to me, man. So those are the real day ones. You know what I mean? I got family and friends who I've been with or, you know, been talking to for a while, and I tell them about my company. I'm like, hey, yeah, you should come hop on. We can do this and do that. And they're like, oh, I'll hop on when you have the dump truck. I'm like, like, you know, I fell into the trap, man. I was like, all right, I'll go get a dump truck and we'll do it. But these motherfuckers won't ever have your fucking back the way that my guys do. Never. They'll never have. You know what I mean? We're talking about making, I'm going to pay you to do a job and you don't want to fucking do it because we're not a company that has a dump truck. You know what I mean? Like, I fell for that recently. I really did. I fell for that recently with one of my loved ones, and that motherfucker don't have my back. You don't have my back like a fucking person I used to know that respected my vision back when I was poor. Like, it's just, they don't. They don't give a fuck about you. That's the reality of it. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, family, friends who you've known your entire fucking life, showed you love, they haven't showed you no fucking love because they don't even know what love is themselves because they've never been to that point. You know what I mean? Like, they've never really experienced that. Like, until you've seen somebody at their absolute worst and know that you're still there for them, or know that these people are still there for you at your absolute worst, who the fuck do you have in your corner? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I keep reiterating that I wouldn't trip out if I lost everything. I would trip out. Yeah, I would definitely trip out, but I wouldn't fucking be down and out for a fucking year trying to work a fucking FedEx job or a minimum wage job to try to save up enough money for this and for that, because I started this fucking company with nothing. And I know my guys that I have working for me, I could go a fucking month without paying them, no problem. Like, they would stay with me because they know they would get it. They would get it back, you know what I mean? I would give it to them back. But you can't find people like that if you've never been broke. Like, that's the whole point of my story here. So just know that these people that are in your life, a lot of them say that they love you. A lot of them are the closest to you, but they really don't know what love is. Like, they just don't. If if they're shitting on your vision, especially, they just don't know what love is. That's for sure. Yeah, with that, guys, I'm gonna end it. I don't want to keep rambling like off subject. It wound up just being that story about me and my neighbor Jerry. But you know, we're gonna keep building. I had a pretty strong vision this morning. Like, I'm about to get a fucking videographer and make this shit known to the world, man. Because for me, it's like, you notice I record a lot of these videos while I'm driving. It's like when I'm doing shit, that's when I'm best. You know, I come up with better content like that. You know what I mean? When I'm sitting down, like in the room yesterday on my bench, like I feel like that content was trash because I wasn't doing something. My brain doesn't like work that way. But anyways, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And love you guys. Peace.